I am so excited to have this gentleman here. I know this man for the past 30 years. 30 years. 30 years ago, when I was just about becoming famous, I said, I don't know how this is all affecting me. I was getting really nervous. So I said, I want to see a shrink. And people told me there's only one shrink to see, and that's this guy. And I said, why is that? He goes, and the reason, and what they told me was, he sees all the big people. You have to see his list. I said, I'm not worried about his list. Is he a great shrink? And you know what? He's probably the most brilliant shrink I ever spoke to in my life. Here he is, the one and only Dr. Phil Stutz.
Anyway, you're going to see me rocking back and forth during this show. That's for my medication. I have Parkinson's disease, but hopefully it won't distract you too much.
Mr. Phil Stutz, because without you, Phil, I don't think I'd be here right now, man.
I'm honored that you feel that.
The negativity in the world right now, it's almost like we're having like a civil war. There's one side against the other side. I think the negative, I remember you telling me this, that the negative forces are so strong on Earth. And the positive force, why is it the negative forces are stronger on Earth than the positive forces?
Yeah, great question. The answer is the negative forces are stronger because they're easier to contact. In other words, to contact the positive force, think about it. It takes discipline. It takes patience, right?
Right.
It takes some degree of faith. The bad stuff, I can go out and order a bottle of gin, boom, I'm right there, heroin, chocolate cookies, loss of, all these things, they're right in front of me. They're easy.
Right.
And they promise something they can't deliver, which is some kind of satisfaction.
That's like we talked about, it's like immediate gratification.
Yes, that's correct.
Right.
The desire for immediate gratification causes chaos. Every time someone goes for it, they feel like shit afterwards. Everyone. You didn't get it over there, so you look over here for it. It's chaos. And the opposite of chaos is order, is discipline, which moves forward into the future, being willing to sacrifice immediate pleasure or immediate gratification. And so our society is in chaos. Now, there's three aspects of human life that nobody can escape from. One is uncertainty, one is pain, and one is the need for constant work. Those three things, nobody gets away from those things. So, and that's called exoneration. Everybody wants to be exonerated. I got the best looking girlfriend, I got the most, I got this and that, and because I do, I'm exonerated from playing by the rules. And I mean, you're a great example of it, where you turned that around and made it a source of power and confidence. But that takes time.
Right. Do you feel, Phil, that the internet absolutely made it worse for people? I mean,
it didn't make it worse, it made it 1,000 times worse. Think about it. The problem is immediate gratification, right? The inability to control yourself. And there are these flashing images right in your face that tell you, hey, little boy, come over here. So the density, the amount of interactions you have with evil, it's so, the amount of them, let's say in a day, is so much higher than what it used to be. Think about it. If a guy's a farmer, he doesn't have time for a lot of this shit. He's got to plow the land or whatever else farmers do. But a person in the modern world, he's trying to squeeze as much experience as he can. It's like trying to squeeze 20 pounds into a 10-pound bag.
Bag, right?
Yeah, and eventually the bag breaks. Everything breaks, and when everything breaks, everybody's dissatisfied, and then everybody goes at everybody else. It's your fault. It's your fault.
Whoa! So because they're not getting the 20 pounds in a 10-pound bag, they blame everybody else.
They blame, yes, and that's the crux of the victim.
I mean, because everybody on the internet is negative. I mean, they're writing reviews of restaurants they hate. If you say something, everybody jumps on you. People are getting canceled. People, everything is, they're obsessed with beauty and everybody's pretty. Now they got filters, Phil. They have filters that girls and men put on, but it's not really them. It looks like them, but nobody looks like that, Phil. It's fucking crazy. I'm telling you, it's crazy. And it's only getting worse. And I don't know where it's going to end.
Yeah. You know, things like that can only be improved or resolved when a certain number of people say, fuck it, I've had it. I can't live like this anymore. And when that's going to happen and how effective it'll be, I don't know. I'm an optimist, so I feel those people are out there. They're terrified now, you know, from every point of view, because Part X.
Right.
So we just call Part X the destructive part of the personality. It doesn't want you to learn, grow, realize your potential.
That's Part X, right. We call it, that's part of the destructive personality.
Yeah. So, look, everybody's got a Part X, everybody, and we'll have it for the rest of your life. That's the hardest thing for people to accept. They say, I'll use the tools, I'll do this and that, but when is it going to be easy? And the answer is never. It can be satisfying, gratifying, pleasurable, and creative. It could be all those things, but first you have to pay the piper over here, and that's Part X.
So everybody has to pay the piper. No
exonerations.
Relationships take work.
Right.
When do you know, Phil, and I think people would like to know this, when do you know when it's too much work and you know what, two people shouldn't be together?
Yeah, I'd say there's two answers to that. The first one is you have to feel the other person is making as much effort as you are. It's the most important thing. They don't have to grow as fast as you have grown. They don't have to agree with everything you say, but they have to, in their own mind, their own world, they have to be moving forward. And the person that, you know, you meet somebody, you say that person's spoiled. What you're really saying is they don't think they have to do the work.
Wow.
Now there's another thing. Am I talking too much?
No, go. No, please. No.
Okay. There's another aspect of this.
Are they capable of changing?
Yeah, and there are three things that somebody has to accept and do if they want to be in a relationship. If they don't do these three things, they're incapable of a relationship. Now, the three things are sacrifice. Empathy is another one.
Empathy, sacrifice, empathy. And what would be the third one?
Initiative.
Initiative.
Okay, so initiative means, like, if let's say a typical thing, a woman's waiting for somebody to call her. She just met this guy, seems like a nice guy, but he hasn't called her at all. I'll tell her, forget it, get rid of him.
When you say, if a person's doesn't have initiative, doesn't have empathy, is not willing to put the work in, where you go, you know what, this is not going to work.
Yeah, you have to be realistic about it. Even if you're wrong, you're right. Meaning, in terms of self-esteem, self-regard, it's like, I deserve to get these three things. If I don't get them, I'm unhappy. I'm not saying just fucking tell the person, drop dead and walk off, but if they're not corrected.
If they're not corrected.
Yeah.
If they're not corrected in your mind, then that's the time to say, okay, it's time to go.
Yeah, which brings up another subject, so to speak, which is, how do you get yourself to leave a situation where you really would not leave? You prefer to stay, but you have to leave because the person's violated the principles that we're working.
Right.
So that ability to let go of somebody, even if you're still in love with them or whatever,
right,
that's called the potency of non-attachment. In other words, you love the person, you want to be with them, but you're not attached enough to let them go, even though you'd rather they didn't go. Because think about it, because then, only then, would you know how they feel about you. If there's no demand.
Exactly.
So, you see, you have very strong instincts, like very strong. And I don't think I've ever seen you not, when you finally realized it was time to do something, you did it.
I did it, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because I believe in, because what you taught me was, if I'm scared, if I'm fearing something, if I'm worried about how I'm going to be painful, that's when I know I have to do it.
Yes.
Because that's the signal that no matter how painful it is, I have to do it. If I don't do it, I won't grow. And you taught me that nothing grows in the comfort zone. That if you want to grow, You have to like be willing to have pain. I mean, I remember you gave me a metaphor once of the pearl. You said like an oyster. An oyster, it rots, it dies, but out of that comes the pearl.
Yeah.
And that's what life is about. It's hard to say no. It's hard to leave another person. It's hard, but if you're living a life of quiet desperation and you're not happy, there's one guarantee: you will be unhappy the rest of your life.
Yeah, that's true.
But the guarantee is if you take the chance and deal with the pain, there is a chance, and a good chance, that hope and happiness will find your way.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
I mean, I thought it would be good to talk about that because I meet so many people that wish they want to leave their job to they want to do something. I always wanted to be a chef. I always wanted to be an actor. I wanted to go to law school. I'm not happy in my marriage. I'm not happy with my husband. Most people live lives of quiet desperation.
Yeah.
Like we said. And that's because of the pain. But I tell everybody out there, Dr. Phil Stutz taught me, and that's why I'm here today, and I've been successful for all these years. Every time I don't want to do something and it's painful, I do it, and it always comes out good. What do you think is the most important thing to instill in your children, you think, in a child?
To me,
yeah,
I would say kindness was the most important thing. Whoops.
Yes, kindness. I agree with you. I think you have to teach children to be morally good kids.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's obsessed, especially out here in New York. I want my child to go to Harvard. I want him to go to Yale. I want him to go to Princeton. I mean, and then look what happened when the scams, when they try to get their kids in
The whole
those
thing
schools.
is disgusting. To me, it's disgusting.
I mean, doesn't that hurt the child more, Phil?
It's horrible. See, there's two kinds of routes to success. So the first route is the route to mediocrity. You know, there's like a pathway that 1 million people have walked before you.
The route to mediocrity.
Yeah, went to Harvard, then went to what do you call it?
Princeton, Yale.
Yeah, whatever. Goldman Sachs. It's actually, and I don't fault people because some people are strong, but they want to know every step of the way that they're safe. This is what we talked about before. That's the power system. You gravitate towards power. Now, there's the opposite system, which is a route that you create yourself. You don't give a fuck about what anybody else thinks. Your mission is to create and let the chips fall where they may. And it's very hard. You know, the kid sees all his friends going for the power system instead of this creative system. But what I always tell people is when you're 92, when you look back on your life, even if it didn't work out as well as you would have liked it to work out, you can say to yourself, I made my decisions based on who I really am and based on my instincts.
Wow.
With some, obviously, you don't want to be 100%, but if you could get up to like 80%, you'd be doing pretty good.
I've always taught this. Discipline is the most important thing that you could have. Order.
Order is the right word.
Order is the right word. Not this. Order. Knowing, you told me, you helped me such a great deal. You said the way not to waste your days is to plan your day the night before, knowing what you have to do. And I never forgot that. And you taught me that. And so do I do it every time? No, but I do it when I really have to, and I try to do it as much as I can. Because you could just waste the day easy.
Yeah, it's easy, yeah.
I mean, you taught me, you said that Eugene O'Neill didn't write his classics till he was in his 60s, I think.
Yeah, the last two things he wrote were actually the best. And he was
The Iceman Cometh and I think Long Day's Journey, yes.
Yeah, and he was already famous, but he was compelled to get something out of himself. That's what it was. By that point, you don't really care very much. It's like I don't care that much about now how I'm received. I did a lot when I was younger.
Right, right. Now, these books, I mean, I have to tell you, folks, and this is really, I know he doesn't like when I say it, but you have to read The Tools, and you have to read the other book that him and Barry Michaels, another Dr. Barry Michaels wrote. If you're feeling, it just helps with guiding through life because he gives you tools. A lot of times, you'll see a therapist, and there's some wonderful therapists out there and some wonderful psychiatrists. But they'll tell you this about that, about your mother and about this and your father. And I believe in what Dr. Phil Stutz does and Barry Michaels. They give you a hammer and a saw. In other words, they give you a tool to fix the thing. So you could always refer to that and go back to that. So am I saying it right, Phil, I think?
Yeah, see, here's the thing. Mostly people want to do things that scare them. They do. And they tend to really know what the things are.
Right.
The problem is you can't get somebody to do something new unless they have a reasonable expectation that it's going to work. Not a guarantee, but a reasonable expectation. And the singular thing you can give them, by far more important than anything else, is a tool. Even if the tool doesn't work, the fact that it exists at all means there's hope for you. And if you know a tool exists and you don't use it, how should we say this euphemistically?
Shame on you.
Yeah, shame. That's a good one. Okay, shame on you. And it becomes a philosophy of life. It's like most of the big opportunities in life come after something bad happens. That's just the way it works.
Wow. That is great. That is great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times people get fired, right? And then from getting fired, they actually find out what they want to do.
Yes.
Sometimes your spouse will leave you and you're brokenhearted and you're devastated for a year, but you end up meeting someone that you have a better relationship with.
Yes.
So nothing really good. I mean, everything really good comes out of suffering and pain.
Yeah, the way to look at it is suffering and pain are preludes to something good that's going to happen. But first you got to work your way through something bad. But the total of something bad and then turning it into something good, that's called a turnaround. And I symbolize it by a U. So like up here, you're kind of like in God's mind, so to speak, and you feel great. It's like you almost feel like you're God. But then if you want to become an individual, you have to go down the U to the bottom. That's a trough. And at that point, you feel like you're an individual, but you don't know shit. And you're completely helpless. Now, the idea of therapy is to come back up from that trough, if you know what I mean by trough, the low point. It's much more powerful to come back from a low point than it is to succeed where there has been no low point. The person who succeeded without a low point will eventually crack up and quit because he doesn't have the fiber. Anyway, these turnarounds, they're just little U's. They're the only thing you can take with you into uncertainty, nothing else. It's like you go in naked. It's like a human life is a thing. It's one big fat opportunity. And if you're 90, you look back and you say, well, I blew that opportunity. I didn't do shit. You feel, it's one of the worst feelings you could possibly have. But Barry puts it, if you don't, his thing, he says, if you, everyone has a song to sing. And it's like, I forget the wording of it, but the worst thing is to be old and know you didn't sing your own song.
You didn't sing your own song.
You wanted mediocrity and safety. And I say this with all due respect to people. I'm not saying everybody can do this in one day, but it's a direction. If you can't do it, it's good to try to talk to your kid about it. Because think about it like this. What's happening now, let's say in the last 2 years, we've been invaded. We're at war. It's just you can't see the other soldiers. They're like these tiny little things.
We're at war with who, Phil?
We're at war with Part X.
We're at war with Part X.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why the world is so fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And that's why what I say to you is, the Part X is so strong that we want to get the positive voice just as loud.
That's right.
Or louder. Or louder. And that's why I do my podcast. That's why I talk about things. That's why I entertain. But I also try to teach. And my job is to learn from you and to put it out there for people who, who could better their life, who really could better their life. So I truly believe that the more you hit the dominoes in the right direction, the more the flow comes. But to put it another way is, the more good choices you make, the better your life will be. It's really that simple.
Yeah.